Introduction: the most dangerous moment is the honest one. There is a moment in every manipulative relationship that almost nobody prepares you for. Not the moment you get manipulated, that part, painfully, takes care of itself. The moment nobody warns you about is the one right after you see it. The morning the fog lifts. The conversation where you finally recognize the guilt trip as a guilt trip, the crisis as a performance, the apology as a maneuver. You would think this is the ending. It is not the ending. It is the beginning of an entirely different game, and the opening moves of that game are the most predictable, and the most hazardous, in the whole relationship. Why hazardous? Because a manipulator who has lost the fog has lost his primary infrastructure. Everything he built with you ran on your not seeing, the extraction, the control, the comfortable asymmetry. Discovery threatens all of it at once, and threatened operators do not shrug and walk away. They escalate through a recognizable sequence of countermeasures, a sequence so consistent across romantic partners, bosses, friends, and family members that it can be mapped like weather. That is exactly what this article does. We will walk through the 6 phases a manipulator cycles through after exposure: testing, sweetening, flooding, punishing, recruiting, and replacing, so that when they happen to you, you experience recognition instead of whiplash. Because here is the strange mercy of this dark material: the manipulator's post-exposure playbook is the most formulaic thing he will ever do. He improvised his way into your life. He exits it by script. And a script you have read cannot surprise you. Phase 1, the probe: how much do you actually know? The first response to suspected exposure is almost never confrontation. It is reconnaissance. The manipulator has noticed a change in you: shorter answers, requests declined, a new steadiness in your eyes, and before choosing a counter-strategy, he needs intelligence. What exactly do you know, how certain are you, and who else knows? The probes are quiet and deniable. Casual questions with hooks in them: you've seemed different lately, everything okay? Have you been talking to somebody about us? Small tests of the old levers: a light guilt trip, a minor urgent request, deployed not for yield but as sonar. Does it still work? Watch especially for the strange, out-of-nowhere accusation: I feel like you don't trust me anymore. This is not hurt feelings. It is an interrogation dressed as vulnerability, engineered to make you either reassure him, fog restored, or spill your evidence, intelligence gathered. Your move in this phase is the hardest kind of move: stillness. Do not showcase your new insight. Do not deliver the triumphant, I know exactly what you've been doing, speech. It feels magnificent and costs you everything, because an alerted manipulator destroys evidence, preempts your narrative, and accelerates to later phases before you are ready. Answer the probes with pleasant vagueness: just tired lately. Keep gathering clarity. In this game, the person who reveals their position second wins. Phase 2, the sweetening: return of the person you first met. When probing confirms that the fog is thinning, most manipulators reach next for the most cost-effective tool in the kit: the restoration of the honeymoon. Suddenly, inexplicably, the person you first met is back. The warmth, the attention, the humor. The apologies arrive, good ones, specific ones, the ones you waited years for. Flowers appear. Old promises resurface with new sincerity: counseling, change, turning over leaves. Understand the mechanics precisely, because this phase breaks more escapes than any threat ever has. The sweetening works on a cruel asymmetry: you wanted this version of them to be real, desperately, for a long time, and they know it. What looks like transformation is inventory management: an asset was walking off the balance sheet, and assets get retrieved. The technical term, when it happens after distance or breakup, is hoovering, but the same suction operates mid-relationship the moment your eyes start clearing. How do you tell repentance from retrieval? One metric only: sustain changed behavior over time, without an audience, without reminders, including when you have nothing left to give. Words, gifts, and tears are all zero-cost signals. 90 days of consistent conduct is not. So receive the sweetening politely and change nothing about your trajectory. Keep the boundaries up, keep the counsel of your trusted people, keep the timeline running. If the change is real, it will still be real in 3 months. If it is retrieval, it will curdle within weeks of your continued firmness, and it will curdle directly into Phase 3. Phase 3, the flood, confusion as a weapon. When sweetness fails to restore the old arrangement, the manipulator escalates to cognitive warfare. The goal of this phase is not to win any argument, it is to make clarity itself too expensive for you to maintain. Expect the full fog machine. Gaslighting at maximum intensity, entire conversations denied, your memory diagnosed as faulty, your perception as paranoid, you've been reading too many psychology articles, now everything's manipulation to you. That last line deserves special attention, because it is the signature move of this phase, pathologizing your awareness. Your new knowledge is reframed as your new illness. Expect word salad, marathon circular conversations that exhaust the issue out of existence. Expect Darvo in its full 3-beat glory, deny, attack, and somehow, by the end, he is the victim of your accusations, and you are apologizing again. Expect ancient history weaponized, definitions disputed, your tone made the topic, and every specific grievance dissolved into, you always, and, you never. Your defense is structural, not rhetorical, because you cannot out-argue a person whose goal is the argument itself. Put things in writing, requests, agreements, grievances, where fog does not operate. Keep conversations short and single topic, with your one sentence written down beforehand, we're discussing the money from March. Everything else, another time. And when the flood rises anyway, end the session without ceremony, we're done for now. Walking out of a fog machine is not rudeness. It is the only move the machine cannot process. Phase 4, the punishment, making clarity cost you. If confusion fails, the manipulator turns to consequences. The message of Phase 4, never stated aloud, is simple: seeing me clearly will hurt. The punishments scale with the relationship. In intimate ones, rage episodes calibrated to frighten, the silent treatment stretched over days, withdrawal of affection, money, or cooperation. Sudden crises, illnesses, breakdowns, emergencies, timed with uncanny precision to your moments of greatest resolve. In workplaces, the frozen-out meetings, the vanished opportunities, the reputation whispers, the sudden documentation of your performance issues. In families, the holiday hostage-taking, the access to grandchildren, the inheritance theater. 2 things to know about this phase. First, it is diagnostic gold. An innocent, misunderstood person does not respond to your boundaries with a punishment campaign, this behavior is itself the confession. Second, it is the phase where safety becomes a real consideration. Most manipulators punish within legal and social limits, but a meaningful minority escalate further when control slips, and you should honor that possibility like an adult. If the person has any history of violence, threats, or terrifying rage, your plan changes. Documentation, outside support, professional advice, and safety planning come before any further confrontation. Clarity is the goal, but you pursue it like a professional, quietly, with allies, and with exits mapped. For everyone else, the counter to punishment is endurance plus indifference of response, consequences absorbed without renegotiation, drama met with grey-rock neutrality, every escalation quietly documented. Punishment is expensive for the punisher too. When it visibly stops purchasing anything, most operators move to the cheaper strategy of Phase 5. Phase 5, the recruitment, your reputation becomes the battlefield. Failing to control you directly, the manipulator pivots to controlling how everyone else sees you. This is the smear campaign, and its genius is that it is almost always preemptive. He tells his version first, before you have said anything to anyone, so that your eventual truth arrives pre-refuted. The narrative writes itself from stock parts: you have changed, you are unstable, you have been reading things and turning against him, he is so worried about you. Delivered more in sorrow than in anger, the concerned tone is essential, to mutual friends, family, colleagues, anyone whose opinion touches your life. Then come the flying monkeys, well-meaning recruits who deliver his pressure while believing they are neutral peacemakers. He's really hurting, you know. I heard what happened, don't you think you're being harsh? Each monkey sincerely believes he assembled his own opinion, from evidence supplied entirely by one side. The trap here is the counter-campaign, frantically calling everyone, over-explaining, forwarding evidence, fighting for every mutual acquaintance. Resist it. Panicked rebuttal reads as instability and feeds the very narrative you are fighting. Instead, correct facts calmly when asked directly, invest in the people who withhold judgment, quietly accept the losses among those who don't, and let time work. Smears require constant maintenance, the truth requires none. 6 months of your visible, boring, stable life refutes more than any speech, and the people worth keeping are precisely the ones who waited to see it. Phase 6, the replacement, and the door that stays shut. The final phase is the quietest, the manipulator leaves. Not always physically, sometimes he simply redirects the machinery toward a fresher target while keeping you on file. A new confidant appears, a new partner, a new protege at work, and they receive, before your eyes, the identical honeymoon you once received, word for word, gift for gift. This is often the strangest pain of the whole sequence, watching your history replayed with a different cast, and it is worth naming why it hurts. It confirms that none of it was personal. There was no you in it. There was a role, and the role has been recast. Let that confirmation finish its work, because it is also the cure. And expect one last mechanic, the periodic return. Months or years later, often timed eerily to your visible happiness, comes the message, the nostalgia, the "I've been doing a lot of thinking." The file was never closed, assets are checked on. Your only task is the door, it stays shut, without hatred, without drama, without the reply that reopens the channel. Silence is not cruelty here. It is the completed lesson. Conclusion, the script ends where you stopped reading from it. 6 phases, probe, sweeten, flood, punish, recruit, replace. Written out this way, the sequence looks almost mechanical, and that is the point to hold on to. The manipulator's power over you is always improvisational genius applied to your unique psychology. His response to losing you is the opposite, a fixed script, the same one performed on thousands of stages, because a person with real power to keep you never needed a script at all. Your part is smaller and harder than fighting. Stay still through the probes, stay unmoved through the sweetness, stay brief through the flood, stay documented through the punishment, stay boringly stable through the smears, and keep one door permanently shut. None of it is dramatic. All of it works. And somewhere on the far side, sooner than you now believe, comes the day this entire sequence, which once would have shattered you, reads as exactly what it always was, the predictable exit routine of someone who only ever had power in the dark, performed for a person who has stepped, finally and completely, into the light.